everyone. I'm so happy you tuned in today. And welcome back to Wellness Wednesday. My name is Dr. Linzi, and I am a naturopathic doctor right here in Iron River. I specialize in helping people restore their health and revitalize their life. Always our little disclaimer, anything we discuss is for the purpose of general health support, not intended to treat or cure. We're here to talk about supporting overall physiology and optimizing overall health, and always consult with your primary care provider before making any changes. And so I just wanted to say, I hope everyone is safe after this crazy snow apocalypse that we had. It was kind of fun for a minute. Um, but then, like, after I've just people shoveling for days, I did get snowed in for my big 40 years old celebration. So it was kind of fun. It's definitely one that will never be forgotten. That is for sure. And so in honor of my birthday and heading into my 40s, I had asked a question on social media, and I want to ask you listeners today too. By your next birthday, if one thing could be different, what would it be? Isn't that a great question to think about? Don't you think?
It actually makes me, yeah, truly wonder because I'll have an idea and then I'm like, no, that's not it. It's
Right.
no, that's not it. The choice actually gets quite difficult for me.
Like, especially when I use the word one. Some people had to list a couple,
Sure.
and that's okay. Maybe your top three things that would be different. But so many people listed just like weight and things about their health because it affects so many other things. So, if you think about it, would it be things like more energy, weight loss that actually lasts, or less inflammation, or better mood, or simply feeling like yourself again? I hear that by so many people. They're like, I just want to feel like myself again. And so that's what I wanted to talk with you guys about today, because what if that was actually possible? It wasn't just some far-fetched thing of like, yeah, that'll never happen, but it would be nice. What if what that one thing was for your birthday next year could actually happen? And so, um, and I want people to know that if the reason it hasn't happened is not because you're doing something wrong, but maybe because you're missing a few key pieces. And so since I feel that most of the responses were around health or weight that people wanted to be different, I want to share something personal with you today, especially because I just turned 40, right? So 2 years ago, I found myself in a place that I had actually never been before. I was at the highest weight I had ever been. My energy was extremely low. I was dealing with horrible exhaustion and fatigue. I felt inflamed. I was frustrated because I was doing all the right things that I talk to you guys about all the time in creating those conditions for health. Of course, eating clean, staying active, being consistent. That's just a part of who I am now. Yet nothing was working. And I remember thinking, like, this is not how I'm entering my 40s. I refuse to accept that this was just, quote, part of aging, or, quote, just your hormones, or this is just going to be how it is now. People say like, oh, as you get closer to 40, it just starts going downhill. And I'm just like, why does that have to be our reality? So I made the decision that I was going to figure it out. I was not going to settle, and I was going to become the healthiest version of myself. And I'm so grateful to say that on my 40th birthday this past Sunday, right before the snow apocalypse, I literally hit my ideal weight. It was kind of cool, you guys. I know sometimes when we set goals and do things, we don't take enough time to actually step aside and really be, have that gratitude and be like, wow, it really happened. Like, it was literally to the point zero. Like, I stepped on the scale and it was like to the point zero of what my ideal weight was. Like, it hit it. And I was like, thank you, universe. Like, that was a very nice birthday present. I really appreciate it. When all that hard work you've done really, really pays off. And the thing is, if I'm being honest, I wasn't sure if it was even possible. But see, then something shifted. The tide turned, my body started responding again, and momentum started to build. And yes, of course, this journey is about so much more than just a number on a scale, right? But let's be honest for a moment. It feels good to put on clothes and to feel confident, to not have to take 500 different angles when you're taking a photo, or just avoid the photo altogether because you hate looking at it, to actually maybe get excited for a trip without stressing out about how you have no clothes that are going to work, and to actually feel comfortable in your own skin. Like, that matters. And so while I don't want to ever simplify it to just a number on a scale, I also want to acknowledge that that does feel really good when we hit that goal. But I want to point out what mattered even more is that understanding my nervous system was a huge thing. Understanding it in a way that I had never understood it before, and realizing that my body wasn't broken by any means. And it wasn't just because I was getting older and I had to accept this as my new normal. It was because I was stuck in survival mode. We do get to a point where what we are doing is not working anymore because we do have a bucket, I like to call it, or a body. And it gets to a point where it can only take so much. So what worked before doesn't work anymore because your bucket is literally filled to the brim and overflowing, and it can't do it anymore. And so a lot of times for a lot of women, men too, you're stuck in survival mode for so long, and it just so happens that as you get closer to the 40-year mark, if you've been stuck in survival mode for way too long, that's when the body's like, okay, we're done. We're not responding anymore. You're clearly not listening to the symptoms we're giving you, to the cues, to the signals. You're ignoring us and continuing to put yourself in this high stress, chronic stress, survival mode. We're going to stop responding until maybe you can figure it out. And so that's what my story was. I had to figure out, and that was the key. Being stuck in survival mode, that sympathetic, that fight or flight for way too long. So supporting my body in a way that finally allowed me to feel safe enough to respond. So yes, releasing the extra weight has been truly amazing, and it feels so good. But even more importantly, I feel clearer, more energized, emotionally grounded, and I feel like myself again. And that is what is so amazing. And so I want to tell you what I also see every single day in my practice is that so many people are trying. They're eating better. They're moving their bodies. They're doing what has worked in the past, but their body is no longer responding in the same way. Because so many people, I don't know if it's our culture or what is going on, but why are we never taught to address our nervous system? And our culture is just like, you get a badge of honor if you're so busy you can't even think straight, and busy and stressed and going, trying to do more. And then our bodies stop responding and we're like, why is my body doing this? And nobody teaches us to actually look at our nervous system, right? And so the answers that we often hear are, instead of let's do some self-evaluation, is, oh, it's your age. I don't know how many times I can tell you that I heard, yeah, you're getting closer to 40. What? Why is that a reason? And, oh, or it's perimenopause, or, oh, it's your hormones. And while hormones absolutely do play a role, there is a major piece that is often overlooked, and that is our nervous system, you guys. When your body is stuck in that chronic stress response, which we call the sympathetic dominance or the fight or flight that we talk about a lot on here, you will prioritize survival over healing. And that means it's much more likely for you to hold on to weight, for inflammation to increase, for your sleep to be disrupted, for you to be emotionally reactive, hello, irritability 101. And from a physiological standpoint, when that cortisol that stays elevated over time, it increases insulin resistance, promotes fat storage, especially around that lovely midsection. It disrupts your thyroid function by affecting the conversion of T4 to T3. A lot of people don't know that. And so many people are on thyroid hormone and their thyroid hormone is just T4. Well, guess what? You got to convert that to the usable T3. And a huge, when your cortisol is chronically elevated, it blunts that and you actually convert it to something called reverse T3, which is not usable by the body. So your labs will often look normal, but you still feel like garbage and you're still putting on the weight and your skin is still dry, your hair is still brittle, you have all the symptoms of hypothyroid, but the doctor says you're fine because your labs are normal. And also, this throws off your hunger hormones like leptin and ghrelin. So when you're doing everything right, your body may not feel safe enough to let go because it's extremely imbalanced. So the shift for me and for so many of my patients came when I started addressing the body differently. First, focusing on the nervous system regulation, teaching the body that it is safe again is foundational, not an option. The gratitude, the affirmations, the meditations, those are not some fluffy woo-woo, oh sure, that would be nice. That is foundational, you guys, and that is what I am finding. And so many of my patients just want to push it off. Oh, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to do gratitude. I don't have time to do positive affirmations. I don't have time to, do my prayer or to meditate. Well, guess what, you guys? That's where it starts. So you have to make time if you want things to change. How does that saying go? Nothing changes if nothing changes. So you got to do it. And this can be as simple as things like I've talked about on here all the time: intentional breathing, getting out in nature, slowing down, incorporating gentle movement that signals safety instead of stress, doing the meditations, the gratitude, the affirmations. So when the body shifts from survival mode into that parasympathetic, rest and digest, repair, rejuvenate, that's that healing state, and everything can start to change. And then, so that's first and foremost, right? That's foundational. Second, we need to look at the metabolism and hormone signaling. This is important, and this is where the science gets really exciting. So there are hormones in the body called incretins, specifically GLP-1 and GIP, and they play a powerful role in regulating things like blood sugar, improving insulin sensitivity, slowing gastric emptying, and signaling fullness and being satiated, as well as working on inflammation and cortisol and immune system balance, and dopamine and the brain, like we've talked about before. And so when these pathways are functioning well, cravings decrease, energy stabilizes, and the body becomes more efficient at using fuel and burning fat. So when we're supporting these pathways, which I do through nutrition, gut health, lifestyle habits, and targeted tools like homeopathic drops that I use combined with injectable peptides like the trizepatide, like you guys have heard me talk about, we can create a powerful shift in the body, and the body can start to respond to all the positive things we're doing. So for example, for me in my journey, utilizing support with the targeted GLP-1 and the GIP pathways through the use of trizepatide at the smallest dose for the shortest time possible help create a reset in my body and allowed the healthy habits I was doing to finally start working, which has been so amazing. And as of my my birthday, I am down 36 pounds and hit that ideal weight, which is so wonderful. But I want to point out that, again, it's not just about the weight. It's not just about taking a trizepatide or a GLP-1 and think that that's going to be your magic tool. You also need to address consistency and accountability. This is where true transformation happens, you guys, because it's not about doing something perfectly for a week or two. It's about consistent inputs over time with the right support and guidance. And that's exactly why I created the total health restoration system that you guys hear me talk about, because healing doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when you have a plan, accountability, and the consistency to follow through long enough so the body actually gets a chance to start responding to what you're doing. And I want to say this very clearly, you guys. Your body is not broken. If you are struggling with weight, energy, inflammation, or mood, it is not because you have failed. It is because your body is likely overwhelmed, dysregulated, missing key signals. And when you give it the right support, it can start responding again. So I want to leave you with that question one more time, you guys. So by your next birthday, what do you want to be different? Because a year from now, it's going to come either way, that lovely birthday. And so the question will be in the same place. Will it be the same, or will this be the year that something starts to shift? And so if you're feeling stuck, you're tired of not feeling like yourself, I want you to know that you don't have to figure this out alone. You can reach out, start the conversation, and I am happy to walk this path with you, because it's absolutely possible to step into the healthiest, most vibrant version of yourself. And there's nothing more rewarding than helping people do exactly that. And, even this 2-year journey that I've been on, it was really discouraging, but I'm really happy and grateful that I went through that suffering and that struggle, because it pushed me beyond myself, out of my comfort zone, to look at things I normally wouldn't do, to have a depth of understanding for people who are struggling. While I always try to have compassion, I didn't have a depth of understanding of what it truly felt like to be doing all the right things and my body to truly not be responding, and it's extremely frustrating. And so I want to encourage you that sometimes you just need help with somebody looking at it to help you see the forest through the trees, so that you can see a way through it and have a plan and have the accountability to do so. And I wanted to share, Jim, a client, just I think it was yesterday or the day before. she shared this beautiful picture of herself. Now she's in week 10 of the total health restoration system. Okay, so not even the full 90 days. And she made a comment with this beautiful picture. She's just glowing and she looks so healthy. And she said, I made a resolution to prioritize my health this year, and I am finally feeling like my old self again, making time for me so I can be there for the ones I love. I used to think that was selfish, but in reality, it has allowed me to be grounded and show up more for my husband, children, my home, my career, and my goals. And none of this feels like a chore anymore. It all feels so natural, from the meal planning, the workouts, to check-ins with affirmations. A total mindset shift has taken over, and I am truly in control of me. I came into this focusing on weight, but coming out of it with so much more. It's never too late. Thank you so much. Isn't that beautiful?
It is. It is. I gotta pose a question to you, Dr. Linzi, because with what you're saying, to me, I'm almost feeling like, how do you get your emotions to not control your logic?
Oh, that is a big one. Yep.
I mean, obviously sometimes we emotionally eat. We emotionally find that thing that gives us the most comfort, but logically we know that is not the answer.
Right.
We know. So how do you keep yourself from fighting? Because that really puts a person in a cognitive
like dissonance.
yeah,
Like they're
gymnasium. Yeah.
Yep, and it's exhausting to have that battle back and forth. I will say that one thing, well, I'll list two things. One, if using something like a tool or accelerator, like a GLP-1, it does help with what we would call that as the food noise of going back and forth. It helps calm that down so that people feel that they can make the choices that they're more aligned with. And then what happens is, it's not that you need that medication forever, because after a good 60 to 90 days, now it's a habit and it has become a part of who you are, and you don't need the medication anymore to help you quiet that food noise, because it becomes. And so, but this can be done without a medication as well, because I like to do things naturally too, and not everybody wants to go that route. So then it comes down to accountability, check-in, and support. And that's why trying to do it alone is so hard, because of that food noise, of that back and forth, because you need help to get it to be a habit. And that's the key, because when it becomes a habit of not emotionally eating, then it's just a part of who you are. You don't do it anymore. And you don't have that fight anymore. And that just takes time. And often humans, most people are naturally just a little bit of people pleasers. And so when you have to check in a kind way, you're not going to be judged. Like, I'm not there with oh my gosh, what did you do?
No
rulers and slapping fingers. But when you have that sense of accountability, like, okay, I got to write this down. I got to own up to this. I got to come face to face with the fact that I'm emotionally eating. And sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. But usually when you have the accountability and the check-in, more often than not, you win. And you start to set that as your baseline. And then that becomes your new normal, and it becomes a part of who you are. And that's what I hear in so many of the clients doing the total health restoration. They're like, I don't even think about it anymore. It's just what I do. And people who would always go out with their social thing was going bowling and having pizza and beer and alcohol, and they're able to go bowling and enjoy their friends, and it doesn't even faze them, all the pizza or the beer, because it's just not a part of what they do anymore, and they feel so much better. So if you can get that window of time where you actually feel better, then when you do emotionally eat, or you have a weak moment, let's say, most people are like, oh my gosh, I feel like garbage. And you get that negative reinforcement. And it encourages you not to want to do it anymore.
Folks, I have no problems asking her the hard questions. I mean, yes, I threw her off, and I apologize for that. But Dr. Linzi has this unique ability to be able to dissect the issue. So I find that to be very comforting. And I would highly suggest, folks, obviously you guys don't get to hear the conversations we have off the air before, after, during the show. If you need somebody who's got that calming, sensitive, but can-do attitude, you really should get in touch with Dr. Linzi. Dr. Linzi, I know we usually don't do it at this point, but for those that are out there who are truly curious and want to see that better light,
Mm-hmm.
telephone number they can get.
Yes, you can always call or text 906-829-0500. You can also email info@drlinzi.com. That's info@drlinzi.com. You can also go read about the program on drlinzi.com, and that's drlinzi.com. There's a whole section on it that explains it. And I really do appreciate those kind words, Jim, because I do try to lovingly and kindly and in a non-judgmental way, but also be honest with people about, okay, this is what you got to do.
You're firm and fair.
Yes.
You are firm and fair.
Yes.
That's what I can see.
Yes. And that's important because sometimes we need help holding ourselves accountable, but not in a way that we beat ourselves up or kick ourselves when we're down, but be like, okay, let's ask better questions. And that's what a thing I often encourage patients and clients to do is like, instead of judging yourself, or if you do have a weak moment where you do emotionally eat or something really triggers you and you go to the fridge and it happens and then you feel awful, instead of sitting there and continuing that downward spiral of how awful you are and why do you keep doing this to yourself, ask better questions like, okay, what do I need in this moment?
Sure.
Often we're just trying to fill a void or a need. And if we can fill it in a constructive and helpful way, then we can still feel fulfilled, but not feel worse like when we're doing it with food.
Dr. Linzi, a few people have asked me, with the total health restoration system, obviously there are classes now. Are there like a set date where you form a new class, or can each person join individually? How?
Yeah.
They're curious. I mean, do they have to wait for a start date?
Nope. So in the beginning, when we first launched, there was that initial beta group.
Sure.
But now it's just open as you want to do it. And then you just kind of hop in. Sure. When it works for your schedule. We do a kickoff call twice a month, okay, where then you hop on the kickoff call, you get everything you need, you get organized, and then we have a kickoff call to make sure we get all your questions answered, and then you start. And what's so cool now is that there's people at all different times, is that when we have the accountability calls every week, there's people who've been doing it like this lovely client for 10 weeks, and then people on their first week, and some people on their fourth week. So all sorts of helpful questions and all sorts of helpful insight, and people just get so much value out of it. And it's also so cool to have people at all different parts of the journey. So then it's naturally the people who are 10 weeks in, you can just sense they want to encourage the people who are just starting, and it creates this beautiful sense of community that I just am so fascinated by, and it's so encouraging.
They have to appreciate having, quote unquote, a mentor at some point, don't they?
Oh, yes.
Because eventually they become a mentor, don't they?
And that's where the true transformation happens.
Really?
Well, I mean, you can just see it in the clients who are like, oh, you can do it, and I can tell you, and it's just like when they started, they were so discouraged and they were feeling so hopeless, and now they're here encouraging the other person, and it's like, wow, this is really cool.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Folks, you got to get in touch with Dr. Linzi. You want to find out more about this total health restoration system.
Yes.
It's no joke. She's, these testimonials, they've been coming in. So, I mean, people, it's really weird, Dr. Linzi. We both know this. It's easier to tell 5 people about something that bad happened someplace.
Right.
If you get one person that says a compliment, that's got to equal 15 people.
Oh my gosh. It's so beautiful to hear people. And, that's why I really created the Total Health Restoration, because I wanted to have a structured 90-day program, because I know people will say, you'll hear it takes 21 days to create a habit. No way. 21 days to actually get familiar with it. I feel like 90 days of doing the habits and the things, and you are in a solid place. And so I wanted to create something that almost made it really hard to not see success. You'd almost have to try to not see success. And I wanted people to know that healing doesn't happen from just hearing information once. It happens from consistent action and support over time. And so for those 90 days, I walk alongside you with, also I have a nutritionist that I work with. Her name is Sam, that provides amazing support as well. So you have so much support. We do weekly check-ins, accountability, guidance, and adjustments so that the body actually has the time and support it needs to regulate, repair, and to heal. And we focus on nutrition, metabolism, gut health, nervous system regulation, daily lifestyle habits, and actual measurable progress, so people aren't trying to figure it out alone. And what I found out over and over again is that when people have structure, support, and accountability, their bodies finally start responding the way that they have been hoping for.
Outstanding, outstanding. Folks, Dr. Linzi's office, if you've never been up there, it's a pretty cool little place to step into. She's got some toy. Well, they're medical diagnostic machines, but to me, they're toys.
They're toys to me too.
All right. There are a lot of things. Dr. Linzi, how can they find out more about
all the goodies?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can go to drlinzi.com, and if you go there, so drlinzi.com, you can see all the different therapies I offer. We do have massages as well. We have amazing massage therapist Kathy, who's also trained in cranial sacral and cupping and hot stone. She does all the things. Yes, and she takes, I mean, everybody absolutely loves her, and I feel like she aligns perfect with what we do with Upper Peninsula Natural Wellness, which is provide like the best and to focus on body, mind, and spirit and that nervous system. And so you can always check out the website. You can see and read about Kathy, you can read about Sam, you can read about me, you can read about the girls at the office, and you can also check out all the different therapies we have and read about total health restoration. I have amazing website lady Abby, who's just did a great job putting it all together. So you guys can check that out and get all the information you need. And I just want to thank you guys for tuning in today. And I really hope that today's episode encouraged you to explore new ways to support your healing and helped remind you that healing is possible, you guys. I encourage you always, every week, to make creating the conditions for health a priority and to keep supporting that incredible body of yours. And I encourage you to focus on getting aligned around your health and getting the support you need. And you guys, doctor, remember, means docere, which is to teach. My goal is to help teach you so you don't need me forever, so that you can get the tools in place so that you can take control of your health, like that amazing client mentioned above. And so I encourage you to do that and to trust your body, to trust nature, and trust the incredible wisdom that God has built into your design. And remember, health isn't just about what you eat or how much you exercise. It's about caring for that body, that mind, that spirit, and your nervous system, right?
Right on. Dr. Linzi, how about, first off, yes, we did go a little long, but this is a pretty important topic this morning.